I'm James Lockyer, Director of the Association in Defence of the Wrongly Convicted. For years now, indeed it's become a tradition, the Canadian government has done all it can to save the lives of Canadians who have been sentenced to death abroad. I've worked with them, they've worked with me, they've been an extraordinarily effective persuader of foreign governments to save the lives of people who shouldn't die. And now, with no consultation, with seemingly no thought other than apparently a support and a belief in the death penalty, the government changes its mind on a whim. To me, it does nothing more than demonstrate an extraordinary indifference to life on the part of those who have made this decision, the Prime Minister, the Justice Minister, and presumably the Cabinet as a whole. There are a lot of people I've known, I've met, I've come to know well, and that I've helped and worked for, who would not be with us today if we'd had a death penalty in Canada. David Milgaard, he would surely have been sentenced to death and executed back in 1970 if it hadn't been for the fact that we had abolished this awful penalty. Greg Parsons, wrongly convicted of the murder of his mother in Newfoundland in the 1990s. He would surely not be with us today if we'd still had a death penalty. Bill Mullins-Johnson, convicted of a first-degree murder, a horrible murder of his 4-year-old niece, but it was a crime that never happened. Can you imagine if he had been executed for a crime that never happened? He alone is reason to oppose the death penalty. But the death penalty is an awful, awful thing. Wherever it's used, and I think it's the responsibility of us Canadians not just to fight to save the lives of our own people who have been sentenced to death abroad, but to fight to save the lives of people in those countries where they still have the death penalty, to fight to save the lives of the Saudi Arabians or the Filipino nannies that they're going to execute in Saudi Arabia, Americans, black Americans that they're going to execute south of the border, those that they're going to execute in countries like Iran, in countries like China, and in countries like Vietnam. We have an obligation as members of humanity to be involved in stopping this awful, inhumane thing that happens still in so many countries around the world. Thank you.